Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So today we're going to be taking another look at bromeliad color, and we're going to ask the question, what activates bromeliad color? So you know what, the sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing, it's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun and let's take a look at what activates bromeliad color. So today we are going to be asking the question, how is color activated in our bromeliads? How does it go from this to this? So I think the two main ways are light and maturity. So why don't we take a trip to Sundance Orchids and Bromeliads in Fort Myers, Florida, where we're going to take a look at examples of both. Okay, so this is another really good example, I think, of how light intensity will affect the color of your bromeliads. So this is an Echmea. It is a Blanchettiana. It is sold as Blanchettiana Pink Panties. Guys, I didn't make the name up. That really is the name that you will find on the plant if you find this for sale. And you can see on the right hand side that Blanchettiana obviously has not gotten a lot of light. And take a look, it is variegated, by the way, as you can see, and the variegation is more and more yellow, and the plant is greenish. So we're going to come over here to the Blanchettiana that is on the left, and as you can see, the color is drastically different. This plant has gotten more light than the plant that is on the right, and take a look at the difference in the colors. Here's another really good example. This is Echmea Loeys Pride. By the way, we just recently did a collector's corner on Loeys Pride and also Harvey's Pride. So if you get a chance, take a look at that video. So take a look and you can see we have two different color phases here. So this Echmea Loeys Pride, as you can see, is more yellow and a really dark green that is on the margins of the plant. And this variegated plant has been grown in more shade. And then take a look at this Loeys Pride, and it's really obvious that this Loeys Pride has gotten more sunlight. It's filtered sunlight here, but it's still more sunlight. And take a look, the yellow is more bright and it has a pink blush that's in the yellow. Also take a look at the green, and it is not as dark. And you can probably see the comparison, especially of the green, by looking at these two plants. So the one on the right has had more light, and the one on the left has been grown in more shade. So here's a really good example as to light. This is Neoregelia multiple Migs. I want to show you something. Take a look at the color in this plant. Now this is pupping quite a bit. There are a lot of plants there. Take a look at that nice red banding. And the green is green, but it also has a pink or reddish blush to it. And then we're going to come on over here, same plant, and take a look at the difference. This indicates that this plant was not grown in as much light as the multiple Migs I just showed you. And take a look. Now it does have color there, and we're going to go into that in just a second, and that is going to be the second reason that bromeliads will get color. So you can take a look, and multiple Migs, when it gets enough light, really does get some nice color to it. And take a look. Look at how green they are, and those were grown under heavier shade cloth. So the other criteria for a bromeliad to get more color is its maturity. Now, the whole reason that bromeliads get their color when they come into anthesis, which is the flowering sequence, is because they are trying to attract a pollinator. Now, we see the color different than the pollinators. They probably see it in some degree of infrared, and you can see there is some color in this multiple MIGS. And you can see that in this Neoregelia multiple MIGS, it is mostly green. And remember that this has been grown in more shade in less sun, so it's going to be green. I'm going to show you one that was grown in less sun as well that's starting to get color. So take a look at the difference. Look at, especially at the central rosette, and then take a look at this, and look at that central rosette, and look right down in the center of that rosette, and you can see an inflorescence. Now remember, Neoregelias do not get an inflow that rises above the cup, but take a look at the color there. I'm going to take you on back, and there's no color in the center here. And then again, we're going to go right over here. Let's see if I can get them both in the frame and take a look at the difference. Now, both of these were grown under the same lighting conditions, but the one on the right is coming into the flowering sequence, and it wants to attract a pollinator, and so it has that color to attract the pollinators. One other thing that you can see, and we went into this in a different video, take a look at the architecture of the foliage on the plant that is on the left, and you can see it's more upright. And then take a look at this plant and see how it's flattened out. And because Neoregelias do not have an inflow that rises above the cup, they flatten out the foliage so pollinators can get down in there and pollinate. So here's another example of maturity, giving more color to a bromeliad. This is Neoregelia Sheba. By the way, we do have a collecting corner that's got Sheba highlighted in it. You might want to take a look at that. Take a look at the Sheba that's on the right, and you can see that it has upright architecture, but take a look, it has very little color. And then go over to the Sheba that is on the left and take a look. You can tell right away that that is a more mature plant because it is in anthesis, which is the flowering sequence. It has not only flattened out the foliage, but take a look at the red color, and that is to attract pollinators. So this is a really good example of maturity affecting your bromeliad's color. So you can see a small flower down in the cup, and this Neoregelia Sheba is in its flowering sequence, and so it has flattened out its architecture, and it has colored up, and it is the coloring up and that flattening out of the leaves that will attract pollinators. So anyway, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed looking at a couple of ways that color is activated in our bromeliads. Now, a couple of things. When it comes to maturity, I broad brushed it and said just bromeliads get their color when they mature, but mainly what we were looking at was the genus Neoregelia. Now remember, neos do not get an inflorescence that rises above the cup, and so they have to compensate by having more color so that they can attract their pollinators. And the other thing is that if you want to introduce your bromeliad to more light so that you can get more color, if they're in the shade, you're going to have to be careful about introducing them to higher light. You don't want to burn them. So no matter where you are, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. I know that you need to keep growing, have lots of fun. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.